You know how Hollywood just decides who's gonna be a star, then shoves that person down your throat whether they actually are a star or not? Like when somebody's in everything, then suddenly nothing. It happened to Sam Worthington, the guy from Avatar and Clash of the Titans. He's super boring and can't really act, but somebody somewhere decided this kid's gonna be a star, and then he was for a little while, and then wasn't because, well, he just wasn't. Jaden Smith, Taylor Kitsch, Brie Larson. Possibly the best example is Hayden Christensen. Anakin freaking Skywalker, dude was in Star Wars, then that lame but kinda awesome Jumper movie, then became a farmer and disappeared. Kind of a boss move, can't even lie, but you get my point. Anyways, Rachel Zegler is Hollywood's next big star, but she's totally not though. I'm sure most of you have seen this clip where this actress talks some smack about Snow White or whatever, but did you know that this actress, Rachel Zegler, has only been in movies that have flopped? Well, it's true. And given the tremendous backlash she received online for her comments about Snow White, I have a feeling that the outcome of that film will be much the same. However, for those who don't know, Rachel stars in the upcoming Hunger Games movie, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is basically Hunger Games, but different. I don't know, my wife read the book, I guess it's okay, but it's a Hunger Games movie, right? That's bound to turn a profit. Well, let's take a closer look at that. But before we take a closer look at that, I've got to talk about this. So Rachel Zegler is a star who The Hollywood Reporter referred to as a rising star. Medium.com calls a rising star as well, and this place calls a rising talent with a bright future. Just Google her name. Every article is like, who's this new young star, Rachel Zegler? Whatever. She's been in 2 movies. She's been in 2 movies, okay? And both of them flopped hard. So she played Maria in the 2021 West Side Story, which needed to make $300 million to break even. It made $75 million. She also had a pretty big role in Shazam! Fury of the Gods. She's the 4th highest billed actress in that movie. I don't know why Hollywood just decided she was a star after being in 1 movie, but whatever. Anyways, that movie needed about $300 million to break even as well, oddly enough, and it made $133 million. So 2 flops, and that's it. That's her entire resume. She has 4 upcoming projects. Not sure if those count on a resume when you're an actor, but still, she's not an A-lister. You get my point. But it's not like she had some small indie films and then a small role in some slightly bigger film, then finally made it big time. No, she just was big time. And so far, everything she's been in has crashed and burned. She also single-handedly sent the upcoming Snow White remake on a collision course toward disaster by saying this.
It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
I have an entire video where I talk about this and give my opinion on it, so if you want to watch it, you can, but I'm not going to get into it here. But this is just not smart. I get she's a kid and stuff, or a young adult, I should say, so I can't really blame her. I mean, I'm certainly surprised she wasn't coached or anything on what to say and what not to say. Or maybe she was coached and just had a really bad coach. But comments like this basically cut the audience in half. Or honestly, even worse. I mean, the backlash online has been pretty wild. Surprise, surprise, most people are pretty down with love, so bad-mouthing true love is kind of weak, but whatever, I guess. That movie's totally gonna tank, and it's probably gonna be at least partially her fault. I mean, it's not like every Disney live-action remake does particularly well, but most do. Lion King remake made $1.6 billion, Aladdin remake made $1 billion, but the Mulan remake only made $70 million. And by made, I mean lost hundreds of million because its budget was $200, so it could go either way, but now it's probably gonna go one way. In regards to her upcoming film, Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, quote, Box Office Pro recently shared their long-range predictions for the Rachel Zegler film, predicting the film will gross between 35 and 45 million in its domestic opening weekend. The outlet also predicted the film would only gross between 90 and 142 million in its entire run at the box office, end quote. The quote came from Bounding Into Comics, but I did fact check at Box Office Pro, so here you go. So supposedly the worst domestic box office for any of the Hunger Games movies was Part 2 at $281 million. And the global box office was somewhere in the $600 million range, so Given that the projections for Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes are domestic, and if best case, domestic is 142 million, it could be looking at a global return of like 400 to 500 at best, but more likely somewhere in the 200 range. I read somewhere that the film had like an $80 million budget or something, which seems really unlikely just given how massive budgets have been recently, but if it is, it could make a little bit of money. With marketing, it likely cost a little less than 200 million, but to be honest, I haven't seen a lot of marketing for this film. As we've seen before, this may be an attempt to lower the losses. Such as it was with DC, they drastically lowered the marketing for movies like Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2. Blue Beetle still lost a ton of money, but some of those losses were likely mitigated by the lack of marketing. Either way, it seems to me like Rachel Zegler might be a bad omen for the success and profitability of the film, or any film. Her quote, rising stardom may have already peaked. I really love making these and I'd like to keep making them, so please subscribe and like the video. If you love this sort of content, consider becoming a member. See you in the next one.